more about me. I was born in Saigon, Vietnam in 1954. I had a dream of getting a good education and working in a job where I could help others. Unfortunately, my dreams seemed unattainable when the government closed the University of Law in Saigon, where I was attending on April 30th, 1975, which was also the fall of Saigon. I have spent 10 months in the refugee camps, Pulau Bidong and Senggei A in Malaysia before coming to America. I came to Minnesota in 1984 after a 50-hour Greyhound trip from California, where I believed that I could find the precious treasures in life, education, and a safe environment. I am Minnesota's first Vietnamese-American librarian, active storyteller, and award-winning author. Also, I am a 2016 and 2019 Minnesota State Fair Blue Ribbon authors. Both my husband and I, we are proud parents of 4 children who grew up in a bilingual home. If my shoes could talk, they would know that the memories of being a boat people, a refugee in the camp, are too painful and terrifying to remember. Women and girls were raped by pirates, bodies floating in the dark sea. Men were beaten and killed. Days and days, months and months without food and water, sinking boats and monster waves. However, it's part of our heritage, our family history, that we would proudly tell our children and among generations to come about our hardship, sacrifice, bravery, endurance, and compassion in the search for freedom. If my shoes could talk, they would say that everyone had a story to tell, but mine would be our struggle for nights and days in the stormy oceans, and my days waiting in the refugee camps. Again and again, we were sucked out. Water rushed in, and our fragile boat was flooded. Just like the roller coaster, the high angry wave pushed us up higher and higher at mighty speed before the next current dragged us down again into the deep dark oceans. We screamed. We shouted for help, and we knew that we were not going to make it to the land of freedom. We held each other as hard as we could and knew definitely that only God could save us, give us strength, and tame the angry ocean. We want to see our families, our friends, our hopes, and didn't want to be buried alive in the deathly oceans. Most of all, we want to survive. If my shoes could talk, they would say that many of my friends perished and vanished in the vast and cruel oceans, or my young cousin, a very beautiful and smart young girl, jumped off the boat on a very dark night into the open sea, out of her mind, out of hope, after days and days, months and months in her traumatic journey. Or my friend's sister was so weak that she passed away in the search for freedom. The boat captain threw her tiny body in the deathly open sea. If my shoes could talk, they would say that they felt my pain, my agony, and my fear when my little damaged boat passed by a sinking boat. Oily bubbles emerged from the bottom of the sea. There were pots and pans, broken suitcases, clothing floating everywhere. They were swearing words and shouting, directed to all the girls and the women standing at the front top of the boat, for some fresh air and light after so many days getting wet and exhausted, and lying mostly dead at the bottom of the boat. The captain and all the men were superstitious, and it was a bad luck to have girls standing on the top of the boat. If my shoes could talk, they would say that they were scared of the big, ugly, and black rat scurrying everywhere, every night in the camp, in the longhouse, along the fence, inside the instant noodle bag, underneath the cupboard, or sometimes riding on one shoe to another, because the most refugee people left their shoes outside on the floor. These big rats sneak out during the day. If my shoes could talk, they would say that they were proud of us because we all had strong faith and belief in God, and we were riding on the Thuyền Rồng, the dragon boat. God had protected and shielded us from the angry high wave and the dark sea. We were so blessed and very lucky. We survived the unforgettable and risky journey in the quest of freedom, a better life, without being caught by the pirates, despite being chased tonight for a long time by a big fishing boat. If my shoes could talk, they would praise me for the first volunteer work both in Pulau Bidong and Sengge BC, teaching French to refugee families and interpreting for Dr. Mark and Nurse Martine from Doctors Without Borders, Médecins Sans Frontières, at the sick bay. My birthday cake far away from home. I found an empty fish can washed up on the shore. That sparkled an idea in my head. I mixed the brown sand with seawater, and the fish can turned out to be a great mold to make a nice round cake shape. I gathered some colorful broken seashells and decorated my birthday cake. I added some green seaweed for a final touch. My eyes were filled with tears as I thought of the family that I had left behind. I closed my eyes and prayed. I could hear the crashing of the waves, the cawing of the seagulls, and the blowing of strong winds. I opened my eyes and my special cake was gone. It had washed away into the oceans. Except from the ocean where the dreams go by Trần Thị Minh Phước in sky blue water.